anyway, since the last time we met and ran into all of those issues, being able to save our files in a manner that would allow you to download them to your computer, um, we did, or at least I did, come up with a couple of alternatives, or at least a couple of things that will help out a little bit. So, on what I want to say, maybe it might have been Tuesday or Wednesday morning, you should have gotten an email from me inviting you to join a team in Fusion, a Fusion team. So far, it looks like Elena, Justin, and Braxton are the only ones who've done anything with that email, and that's fine. But you need to dig through your email and find it. I'm not sure what it looks like because it automatically sent it for me. Um, close that as well. There we go. Um, but it what it is it's the shared space we tried to set up in the beginning that I kept having that I couldn't figure out why you guys couldn't set one up and share it with me. Well, apparently, it just doesn't like doing it that way with student accounts. So I had to set up the team and share and invite you to it. And that's what we're looking at on my screen right now. Um, and I have a couple of different teams set up depending on which class or club you might be in. Robotics team specifically that I haven't shared out with them yet. But I did invite everybody in this class to the robotics class team. And it looks like, yeah, there we go. Got more of you in now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of the 10 of you. And 2 of you are gone today. Let's see here. Yeah, Corey is gone. I knew that coming in. Who else am I missing? Braxton's here. Justin's here. Javen's here. Ellie. Jace. Asher's not here. But he was the first one to try and get into my Zoom this morning. Right? Let's make sure he went to the right place. Why can I never find the trash in here? There we go. He joined my W2 Tuesday link. That explains it. Let's see here. Compose to Whoa, what just happened? Undo. I don't know what you just sent. Smile takes the sting away. Okay, he'll pop in eventually, I hope. Anyway, so with being in the team now, this does a couple of things for us. First off, it lets me be able to directly access your files, um, which I still want us to turn them in through Canvas, and I'll show you guys how to do that here in just a second. But it does allow me to access them directly if there is a problem. So what I would like you to do then is I think I'm hoping that I'm hoping that if you're not on this page already, then you can access it by clicking on this Access Teams link right here. And that should open up what is essentially either not this page exactly or some version of it that just has robotics for you. Um, and once you're in there, I want you to create a folder that's your name. Now, by doing it this way, not only is it really the only way we can make this work at the moment, but I am putting some trust in you guys that you aren't going to go poking around in other people's folders. That being said, I mean, when I look at the files themselves, they are tagged with your usernames. So even though you can access each other's files, I really wouldn't recommend borrowing from somebody else's file in Fusion, because I'm going to be able to see who created every bit and piece of it. But anyway, so I need you to come into the content section inside of Robotics and just create a new folder. And name that folder your name. Looks like we're doing good so far. So what that does is, once you are in Fusion, and this will be the same if you're using the desktop version or the web version or this web version that is just a computer that you're connecting to remotely. When you access them, you should be able to choose Spring 2021 from the team selector over here. If you don't see this panel, it's just by clicking the tic-tac-toe board, the data panel. And you probably see that single user storage team that we created the first day we were in the program. But you should also be able to see Spring 2021. And once you've done that, once you're in there, you'll see a listing of the projects that you're a part of, in this case Robotics. And when you double click on it, you'll be able to see the folders that have been created inside of that project. So for me, I'll just go into mine, and then anything that I save will appear in this folder, right? And it does remember that. So when I go to save, let's say, I don't know, let me make something really quick here. We'll just do a circle. And I'm not asking you to do this, I'm just spitballing so I'll have an example. 4-inch circle, and let's just say I'm making a coaster, so 0.125 tall. I don't know, pretty uninspiring, but it's a coaster. STR. And I click save, and because I'm in this folder over here, I didn't even have to select it. It had automatically chose this folder and saved it there. So let's say I wanted to set this up to turn it into canvas like I've wanted us to do, which is just an image. I'm going to go to capture image, make sure transparent background is on. I'm going to click OK. Coaster view 1, it still knows that location. And when that upload in progress finishes, it too will show up over here. Now, here is the problem. And Braxton talked last time about how to get a copy of this to share, and this was the problem we were running into. Well, at the moment, I can't even find the share link. But whenever you copy something inside of the web version of Fusion 360, you can't paste it anywhere else. It's kind of annoying, but this Teams link is a way to get around that. So when I click in here into my team folder, I can now download that picture file. I can also, I think, nope, it's not letting me share it. So I'm not sure what the reasoning behind that is, but share is grayed out. It says it's been disabled by the administrator. I am the administrator. Wonder if I can change that. Because if you can just get the web address, then let's see here, admin, file sharing. There we go. Save. Let's try that. you should just be able to grab the web link and paste it into Canvas. That way you don't have to download it to your computer and then upload it again, which would be kind of annoying. So share. Let's see what happens. Perfect. Copy link. If I come over to Canvas now, and I'm not particularly wanting to turn it in as my lab 1, but let's try it out. Resubmit assignment, website URL, and Bob's your uncle. There we go. So I think that will probably be the fastest way to turn in from Fusion 360. I will be able to access your files inside your folders, the actual Fusion files. But you can turn in the completed pictures of your drawings just by going, so saving it here like we did before, coming to the team, finding it, clicking share, and then pasting that link into the Canvas turn-in. It's a few more steps. It's not a perfect solution, but it's definitely doable, and it's not as complicated as some of the other solutions that I was finding that other teachers have come up with. If there comes a day that I want you to turn in the actual file, then it works the same way. Again, share that Fusion design file, copy, and paste it in. So, alright, is anybody having any difficulties accessing this page, basically? And anybody having any difficulty getting it not that you have anything to save yet, but trying to save anything to here. Granted, you won't have your Lab 1 file in here yet, and looks like still only 2 people have made the folders that I asked about. Ow, that was my neck cracking. One other cool thing that this offers is wiki pages. I'm not sure how we could utilize these, other than it may be a place where I can post instructions, or maybe we can have discussions and ask questions about things that, like, if you're having a problem with something in Fusion. I don't know. I just noticed that they were there, and it might be something we can try utilizing in the future. But anyway, like I said, not a perfect solution, but it is something that's a little better than what we had to deal with before. So, on that note, I want to, let's see here. What in the world was that? Give me just a second. Something just fell or something. I'll be right back. Stupid chair. Yes, I wore a green shirt in front of a green screen today. It works out really well, let me tell you. Okay, so, like I was saying, one of the things that we're going to have to do quite often as a part of this class is bring files into um, into Fusion to work with. So I don't know why that's doing that, but let me refresh it. And seems to be having some difficulties today. I don't know what's up with that. Weird. Alright, so again, if you have not created that folder, please create a folder inside of the robotics folder with your name. And essentially, basically, or not, I gotta stop coming up with descriptors. But one of the things, like I said, you're gonna have to do is be able to upload parts to Fusion 360 to work with them inside of the program. And because of the same reason that we can't copy things or save things directly to our computer from inside the web interface, we can't upload things to it that way either. So in order to do that, we're going to use Fusion Teams again. And just for an example here, I'm going to download the extruded aluminum that makes up the basis of our FTC robots. And I'm just going to come in here and download the step file for it and save it to my computer. Any robot files that we download, I'm going to put all of them in this robot parts folder, and that way you can all access them, and anytime you download and add things, same deal. I'm going to try and keep the folder structure very similar to the way that this website's laid out. So inside of here, I'm going to create a folder called structure. And then inside of structure is where I'm going to place that file I just downloaded. Let's see here. It's from my downloads. There we go. Alright, so now that step file is inside of Fusion 360's web interface. So I'm going to go ahead and close this test coaster that I made. Alright, well, so at this point, since nobody seems to be interested in making those folders that I want you to make, they are now worth 10 points, or a 0 if you don't do it. So if you're just not paying attention to me for some reason, or not telling me that you're having issues, now it's going to hurt your grade-wise. So, yeah. Let's do that. So what I did now is, let's see, let me go into my robot parts. And where do you put the folder? So inside of here, you can access it by clicking on the link inside of here that says Teams Access or something like that. Inside Robots, you put the folder here. Where's my hand? There's my hand. Yay. Okay. Okay. So now I open the structure, and now I have the step file. When I double click on it, it is going to open it, or at least it's supposed to open it. Step is a universal three-dimensional CAD file. It works inside of pretty much any program, from Revit to SolidWorks to... it's supposed to work in Fusion 360, but it seems to be giving a bit of a headache at the moment. We'll see what happens in just a second. Come on, there we go. It says cannot open the step. Well, that's interesting. Why can't you open the step? There we go. Okay. Clicked it a second time and it opened it. So now what we have inside of here is this. Oh, don't do this again. Oh, look at that. It fixed it that time. So last time I accidentally drug my mouse off of the screen while I was rotating on the view cube, it literally got stuck on the view cube. Alright, so in here we have the profile of this piece. And this is actually what this extruded aluminum looks like. It's about a half of an inch across. And makes up most of the structural components to the robots that the FTC builds. Now, they do have some others that we use nowadays, or at least we will next time we build an FTC robot. But the thing here is that you don't have to design this. We are going to do a little bit more with parts creation inside of Fusion. Quite a bit more, actually. But the key here is that when you save a library of all of these parts you're going to end up creating, then later on when we're going to use these parts to start putting together three-dimensional representations of our robots, excuse me, you don't have to create them from scratch every time. It can also be something as simple as let's say you wanted to put a sticker on something. You can import a PNG file and place it on a surface. Or this is really interesting. If you have something that is in the real world already and you want to turn it into a CAD file, and you have these nice pictures of it from different angles, you can import them as canvases. That's what we're looking at here. And then you can sketch over the surface of those pictures in order to help create three-dimensional models. That's kind of what's going on in this little descriptor picture here. 3D model, or like 3D printing files, can be imported and modified. Vector images. If you don't know what the difference between a vector and a regular picture is, a vector is something that is, it's kind of like CAD almost, actually. It's infinitely scalable. You can make it as big or as small as you want, and it doesn't change the resolution of it. And you know what? That's a little more descriptive than we need right now. Essentially, you can put a vector image in and change it to any size you want. You can also program it in like a 3D printer or a CNC to trace the edges of things. And then the last one here is a McMaster. Yeah, there we go. Insert a McMaster car component. And this is going to literally be the best friend of anybody who is doing robotics seriously. Because McMaster-Car is where you find bearings and gears and sprockets and bolts, nuts, calipers, pneumatic fittings, hoses, chains, springs, sprockets. Like, the list goes on, and I know I repeated myself a couple of times there. And every single part that you can buy from this company, if you wanted, has a CAD file that you can bring into this program and utilize in your drawings. So let's say you want a 608 double Z bearing. Basically skateboard bearings. If I click on this and let's see here, ball bearings. Let's say an open bearing. And there it is. So the file's over here. And let's click on it. Actually, that's me trying to order it for some reason. There we go. So 3D down here, and I'm looking for probably a 3D step file. And I click save. I now have that bearing placed inside of my drawing. So I can go through and fit it into a sprocket or a space or something like that. And, could make mechanical parts that can move. And then have a list later on that can say, okay, now I want to go build this. Here's all of the pieces that I need to do that. But that'll wait until we start talking more about assemblies. What did I... There we go. assemblies and how to take all of these parts and put them together into a new whole, or how to modify this so it's not. I think 250 millimeters is the length that I downloaded, but you can change this to fit pretty much, pardon my yawning, any size that you need. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and close that one then. Don't save it. We do still have that part originally in there. There we go. We're doing better. I'm going to come back into here and let's take a look at where is drafting CAD final. Those are the lordship documents. Where did my PDF copy of the new drafting files go? 2020 desktop. On blocks, starter kit, ISO template, practice layout. 20 isometric shapes. There we go. So if you've been in engineering, you've probably seen these. I went through last semester and cleaned them up and made them a little bit easier to see. Don't worry, we're not doing all of these, but there are a couple of them that I want to take a look at. And the first one is going to be our quick assignment with what we have left for today. And that's going to be the one on here that says it's number 13. This is a good example of that vector drawing I was talking about earlier, because you can see the closer I get to it, it doesn't get blurry, and the further away, it still retains those sharp, clean lines. And that's a hallmark of something being a vector image. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. It's a pretty simple shape overall. It has a couple of circles that make up different parts of it. The hardest part with this, when it's not paper sitting in front of you, is getting the measurements for it, because it's kind of hard to count these grid references on the screen. But don't worry, I will be providing you with those grid references as we go. So let me go ahead.
I already did this for engineering class.
Yeah, you're not going to do it all again. So
Okay.
just a couple of them. Besides, I just need to get you all to the point where you can take a sketch, which you have already done this, yes, but where everybody can take a sketch and turn it into a part so we can start doing assemblies. If this was a CAD class, then yes, we wouldn't do this one exactly, because the engineering class does do this exact assignment sheet, all 20 of them, in fact. But we're going to end up focusing a lot more on assemblies. But part of that is you have to know how to make the parts to start with. Okay, so let's go. Everybody follow along with this. And I'm just going to talk you through it. And I'm also going to, let's see, throw that on screen as well. Window capture, I want which Firefox? Not that Firefox. Not that Firefox. Definitely not that Firefox. That one. Okay. And shrink that down so you can still see what it is that I'm doing. And then trim this up so that it's not. There we go. And shrink it down. Alright, just so you can see the overall example of what it is that we're going to finish with. Okay, so I have created a new sketch, and I clicked on the top origin, or the top plane of my view cube so I can see this. And we're gonna simply start with a rectangle. And we're going to start that rectangle from the origin. So I've clicked on 2-point rectangle, and I'm clicking on the origin. And what I'm going to do is, first off, I know and if you were looking directly at this drawing, you can see it, but I know the height is 1 inch. And for this rectangle, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Uh, excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1.75 is our length. Okay. So that creates a rectangle that is the basis of this shape. And from the rectangle, we're going to create a circle. So we have a rectangle. It's 1 by 1.75. Easy enough. Create a circle next. And we're looking for the center of the right-hand side of our rectangle. Now, if I zoom in on this, or I guess I can't really zoom in it and change the size of this, but we're looking for our icon to turn into an X with a triangle hovering just over the upper right side of it. Once I'm there, I'm going to click once and then click down on the bottom of the shape. Now we have a couple other things that we're going to do to this, but before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and create the other circle that I need to make by clicking in that same center point, except this time my diameter is 0.5. With that done, I'm going to press escape so I'm back to my cursor again, and then I'm going to select that center line and delete it. So I just pressed the delete key on my keyboard after I selected it. Next, I want to trim out the other part of this circle that I don't need to see. And to do that, I'm going to click on the scissors up here at the top. It's called the trim tool. I can also press T on my keyboard to activate the same thing. And then I'm just going to click on the part of the circle I don't want. And it did warn me that I lost my constraint, which is fine. I'm going to put that back in real quick by clicking on the circle, the red circle touching the line called tangent up here in the constraints tool. And then I'm going to click on the circle, or the half circle that remains, and that straight line at the top and the bottom. And the bottom, it's going to tell me that it's over constrained, which is fine. I was just more concerned with making sure that it was there, or right. And it still really isn't fully constrained, but I'm actually okay with that. One of the things that, if this was a CAD class, one of the things that I harp on a lot is making sure everything is fully constrained so you can go back and change things later if you need to. But I'm not overly concerned about that right this second. Let's see here, 1, 2, 3. To save myself some time, the next thing I'm going to do is select this smaller circle and choose copy, which is, where is that in this version of the program?
Mr. Burma,
Yes,
how big did you want the smaller circle again?
1/2 of an inch, so 0.5.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep, I know it's probably pretty small on your screen and you're switching back and forth, but I'm trying to keep all of the dimensions on the screen so you guys can see them. Let's see here. Okay, so once that circle has been, I'm going to click on it once and then right click on it so I can get this menu that pops out. And I'm going to choose Move Copy. And in the dialog that shows up over here, I want to, let's see here. Which one is it? I think it's this one. Not move to point. There we go. Now that I clicked on it, I'm getting the things I wanted. Sketch object, select There, translate, I believe, is the one that I want. And then I'm going to click and drag this way negative 0.75 and press enter. And it's not going to do what I want. So let's try that one more time. I forgot to choose move or create copy down here at the bottom. That was my mistake. So again, I'm going to choose, instead of translate, let's try free move now that that's showing up right. There we go. Negative 0.75, just like I said before. There we go. And now we have our copy. So if you missed what I just did, I'm going to click on that smaller circle, right click on it and choose move copy. I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom because it didn't fully expand at this time and choose create copy. Click on this arrow handle and drag to my right and type negative 0.75 because we're going back from our starting point. And then I'm going to click finish sketch. And I'm going to click extrude. And you can see that it didn't automatically choose anything. The last time we used this, it automatically chose our closed shape. But since we have 3 closed shapes here, we have to click inside of that. It'll turn blue. And our dimension this time is 0.5. If I click on the home view now, it rotates it so that it's in the same orientation as the drawing here in the corner. And just like we did on the lab 1, we're going to click on this top view so that it's highlighted and create a new sketch there. This one will be really simple. We're just going to create a rectangle for this sketch. And it's going to go from the origin, again down here, all the way to the top, so 1 inch. And it's going to go 0.5 inches the other direction. So I'm going to type 1, press tab, and press 0.5, and then enter. So 1 by 1/2, and finish the sketch. Extruding again. I'm going to click inside of that box. And the height we're going to extrude this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1.25 inches. So that gives us the whole height without that cutout and without the corners being rounded. We're going to round the corners first, though, by clicking the fillet tool. It's the one that's got a square that has a blue rounded corner to it. I believe you can also just press the F key on the keyboard and the same thing will happen. And then what I'm going to click on are these outside 2 corners. And my radius, which is what it wants, is 0.25. When I type that in, all I have to do is press enter. And we now have the curved edges. And there's only one step left to finishing this, and that's to create a sketch on this surface. So I've clicked on it. This time, instead of coming up to the ribbon, I'm just going to choose Create Sketch from the right-click menu. I'm going to create I'm going to start off by drawing a construction line. So I'm going to click on the Line tool. And then over here in my sketch palette, which can you see? Well, you can see most of it. In the sketch palette, which is on the right-hand side of the screen, the first option down is construction. And we want to click on that once. And then I'm going to find the center of this top line. Remember, it's the X with the triangle over it. Let's see. 1, it's just 2. So once I've found that center point, I'm going to click once, and I'm going to go down 0.5. Press enter. You can see it's left a dashed line behind. That dashed line does not have any bearing, really, on the rest of our shape. It's just there as scaffolding, something that gets put in order to define the rest of the shape. Now I'm going to choose the circle command, and then before I start drawing that circle, I'm going to make sure to uncheck construction. I'm going to click on the end of that line we just made and make a circle with a diameter of 0.5. Press enter. 2 lines left and we'll be done. We are looking now for the outside points of this circle. In order to find it, so I've got my line command started, I'm going to hover over the center of my circle. You can see it'll just turn into a circle surrounding that center when you're in the right place. And now if I pull to the right, it will snap to the edge of the circle in a line with that center. And that's what we want. It'll just show up as an X this time. I'm going to click once, and then I'm not even going to type anything in. I'm just going to pull up and click where the cursor turns into a box. That means we've met the end of this line. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And I believe that's all I need to do. I could trim out the rest of this circle if I wanted, but I don't think I have to. So I'm just going to click Finish Sketch now. Choose Extrude. And now I can click inside of both that shape and my circle. I'm going to, and then I'm just going to click on the blue handle here and pull backwards till it turns red. Once I'm all the way through my shape, I'm just going to press enter and we're done. Okay? If that was too fast for you, I've definitely been recording this, so you'll be able to come back and watch it. But really, it's all basic shapes that get added together to build up the more complicated shape that we're working from. So let's go ahead and save this as Lab 2. Or I think I was having you name them F Labs. So Lab 2 is fine. And then save it. Once you've saved it, click on the home icon next to the view cube. It looks like a little house. And go ahead and capture that image. So you don't even have to change anything. As long as transparent background is selected, click OK and save. And once you've done that, you can go ahead and close out of Fusion. Well, once this upload process finishes. There we go. Then you can go ahead and close out of Fusion. And when you come into Fusion Team over here, that website that we set up this time, let me refresh that. You'll find all of your files in here. And there we go. So let me back out of this real quick and duplicate it so you'll have a place to turn it in. And then with that, we're probably getting pretty close to the end of class. Let's see here, 8:25 to... Oh gosh, we're over time. Okay, go ahead and save what you can and call it a day. I'm sorry. We'll see you next time. Crap. I thought we got out at 9:20, not 9:10. My bad, guys. Just get it saved and don't worry about turning in. We'll do it next class, okay? Have a good weekend. Oops.